and sisters around the world. The last part of the video you watched was the Minister of Defense of Nigeria. He was shown there prowling around with inside armored tank car, and also at the same time carrying AK-47 in his car. So the situation has gotten that bad. The reason we chose this topic is because in the midst of all of this chaos and insecurity, youths of Nigeria are involved. They have a role in the both sides. And so my guest today will explore with us what they think about the situation and what needs to be done to remedize it. How do we empower our youth? How did we get here? Dr. Ukabwe, if you may, I will like you to open the session for us by giving your insight about the situation from academic point of view and also from your experience living in Nigeria and now in the US. Thank you. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. Am I audible enough?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to explore on this timely issue. To make it brief, succinct, and reasonable, I want us to first of all look at the concepts of empowerment and the concept of insecurity. When you say empowerment, you mean assisting young people and children to come up, to become something of their own, assisting young people to grow, to take charge of their life and their destiny. That is empowerment. Then insecurity shouldn't be looked from the perspective of bombing, shooting, bandits alone. If not, we're going to miss the connection. Insecurity should be understood from two perspectives: psychological perspective and social perspective. Psychologically, insecurity is when somebody lacks self-confidence, when somebody is afraid, somebody cannot live up to being a human being. The person is insecure. That's why psychologically it is mentioned in relationship therapy that somebody feels insecure in a marriage. Now, the physical insecurity in the society, which I call social insecurity, also amounts to this psychological insecurity, and both of them are married together. Let's take an excursion straight to Nigeria. The Nigerian youth is insecure, not because of the fear of danger, which is one of them, fear of attack, fear of danger, but this fear of danger has added up over the years to lack of self-confidence. And that is where the main problem is. The Nigerian youth does not believe in himself. The Nigerian youth feel incapacitated. The Nigerian youth feels like he lacks potentials. So like what the moderator said, how did we get here? How did we get here? We cannot forget the lines of our history. First of all, I am not going to join the tradition of blaming the colonial masters, but I will acknowledge that the colonial masters started this spell of insecurity and lack of empowerment. But where the problem is, let's take academic theory of Karl Marx. If you go to Marx's theory, it talks about that the oppressed has the tendency to become an oppressor. Then if you link the revolutionary theory of Karl Marx with Frantz Fanon, Frantz Fanon made it clear in his theory of African development, written in his book titled The Wretched of the Earth, that the petite bourgeoisie, which is the average schooled African scholars who took over the reins of power from the colonial masters, acted in the stead of these colonial masters by deploring the situation of their people, scattering away the people's wealth, and enriching themselves and their families. Now, the military tried to solve this problem when the military felt that power has been abused, but the military further enlarged the cost of exploitation and corruption in Africa. Civilians came back again. What are the civilians doing now? Both the colonial masters, the early nationalists who took over power, the military and the present civilian reign are the problem of Nigeria. Why do I say they are the problem of Nigeria? They leave the civilians, the masses, incapacitated and unempowered, and leaves them in a situation of insecurity. So that is the perspective I want us to look at this situation. To end my opening speech, I want us to compare the educational system. Being in America, which I am, I was a teacher, a lecturer in Nigeria for 13 years in about 4 different universities, including Catholic major seminaries, teaching people to become Reverend Fathers. The educational system, the origin of university in Nigeria was meant to prepare civil servants for the takeover of power. It wasn't meant for empowerment. It wasn't meant for we were trained to be clerical officers, people who move files about. We lack initiative. The educational system does not inculcate initiative and potentials in us. So the question I want to ask us now is education for what? The colonial masters educated us in a way that we will support them to exploit us. Now that they have gone, we are still educating ourselves to support exploitation. So there is need to take a U-turn, looking at the educational system of Nigeria so that the youth will be empowered. Take, for instance, in America, you have a degree, it doesn't matter what you studied, provided you can be employed. So I will quickly, let me end this now. I want to make direct reference to the present regime, Buhari's regime. If you check your encyclopedia, check your annals, check all the record, the only empowerment strategy that Buhari regime has brought out is Empower. Empower is giving money to youth to buy food at the end of the month and a few skill acquisition. If you give them skill acquisition, where are they going to work with the skills that are acquired? In fact, the caricature skill acquisition is shoemaker, tailoring, mechanic. The world has moved beyond those skills. We skill acquisition in Nigeria teaches people on how to program, to do modern IT programming. I will want us to rest to continue the discussion based on these highlights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kabwe. Thank you for that insightful opening speech. I would like Mr. Akinloton, you come from a background of IT and security. I also know that you have some insight. You worked variously in Nigeria. What do you say? How did we get here? You are yourself a youth in the category of Nigerian youth, and youth in the sense that half the population of Nigeria, about 180 million people, are youths. How do you view, what's your purview about the insecurity? How does it relate to empowerment of youths in Nigeria right now? If you may, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. As been introduced, my name is Segun Akinloton. I want to thank the host of this program, Dr. and Dr. Mrs. Makaize, for deeming it worthy to bring us to a roundtable discourse and to deliberate on what seems to be looming from where we come from. We know that youth and youth empowerment and insecurity are like twins that go hand in hand. Well, I'll start from the point of security. As we all know that security is a major determinant of development in any society. And Nigeria, being a case study here, faces a plethora of security challenges, ranging from violent extremism to farmer conflict, banditry, secessionist movements, police repression policy, attacks on whole infrastructure, among others. The current insecurity challenge in Nigeria is at an alarming state that calls for a greater concern. This can be seen to emanate from a low level of civil order as violence, insurgency, or terrorism, as the case may be. We can see that all these not working together puts Nigeria in a state of insecurity. And as it is right now, if you look quickly into Nigeria's budget, what takes a large chunk of the budget is a provision for insecurity. So because of the loopholes are due to unemployment. Like I say, they work pari passu. The unemployed youth, okay, let's go by the population of Nigeria. According to the NBS, an estimate from the National Bureau of Statistics has projected Nigeria population to be 240 million currently, and that by the year 2050, Nigeria's population will surpass the current American population. Now, the unemployment rate in Nigeria as of now is about 30.7. As I have it that about 84 million Nigerians, 60% of the Nigerian population are youths. And what will I say youths? Youth age ranges from 18 to 35 on paper. But I will say that as a Nigerian youth, it goes from 18 to 45. And that's the large chunk of the population that we have. And about 60% of this category are unemployed. And we go by the saying that says that the idle hands is the devil's workshop. No. Say that it may, unemployment comes in front of a frictional, structural, and seasonal. I mean, all are categorized as unemployment when you cannot get what you're supposed to do as a youth. You know, so all these comes together and give chance for insecurity challenges that we have in Nigeria. On this note, I will want to rest for now. On this premise, I'll rest for now so we can go back and touch all the other aspects that we are supposed to touch in the course of this discourse.
Thank you, Mr. Akeloton. Thank you so much for your input. I will go ahead and tell this story just to give a little background. I spoke to a friend, a doctor friend of mine who has a museum, art gallery in Lagos yesterday. And he told me the story of how he had this section with young people in the Nigerian universities. One of them was a young female, and he picked interest in this female person. And as he was talking, he and his father were speaking with him, this female was complaining bitterly, says, ABU, now bad school. They know they allow us to block, or you know they happen. This ABU is jeopardizing her future. That look at the other universities, her mates from other universities, they have a way they can block, they can do, they are into acting, they are doing things in school. So it brings me to the point that you made. Okun's law, Dr. Okavu, says that if you reduce unemployment by 1%, your GDP increases 3%. Also, if unemployment gets high by 1%, the GDP actually falls by 2, geometrically, that's 2 times the numbers. And so it brings me to what you said earlier, Dr. Ukagwe. I hear hope. I hear hope, and I hear hopelessness. So I will ask you like this. You made the case that colonial masters handed off some situation to the Nigerian entity, which we are now living after. So our educational system is tailored to promote serving them perpetually. So where does hope lie in this? In your view, where does hope lie? What is the part of hopelessness in this on the part of followers and youths, in your view?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. I was thinking I was not going to rush straight to my solution. I wanted us to have a heated discussion, but since you have directed, I'll go straight to the point and we'll discuss further on it. Now, let me make the size of the problem bigger than the way I painted it earlier. The problem actually is Bishop Matt Kuka once said that the problem of Nigeria is not problem of leadership, but the problem of Nigeria is the problem of a journey without a map. We are just surviving in Nigeria. We don't have a plan. Nothing is reconstructed. Nothing is rearranged. When we got self-rule, the right thing we're supposed to do was to sit down and, okay, now we are ruling ourselves, overhaul on all the institutions. Sociologists will tell you that institutions are the structure where the public serve themselves. The structure that give public benefits, they are called institutions. You leave your family, you leave your children, you leave your parents, you come to church with other family, is an institution. You go to the police, you go to the law court, is an institution. You go to school, is an institution. Now, this is where the bane of the problem is. The institutions in Nigeria are weak. Why do I say these institutions are weak? It's like you want to put water in a jerry can. You say we can speak any language. Let me use pidgin. If you want to put water for jerry can, you can't take the funnel face up. All the water you are going to pour, just a tip will go into that jerry can. When you fix it in the right shape, the water will go inside. Our institutions in Nigeria, when I was growing up, they used to say Nigeria is a child's play. But with this current situation now, if you say Nigeria is a child's play, you are being too merciful. And you are even adding to our problem because you are reducing the size to make it comfortable. Nigeria is a scary movie. That's the way I will call it. I call it a scary movie because if you follow the trends of Nigeria, you can have heart attack. You can die in your dream. You can die in your thought because you don't even know what is going to happen the next moment. Nigeria is a fearful place. We that are even living outside Nigeria, we imagine, what about those living right there? Even the air and atmosphere can even kill you because everything in Nigeria is going down. So the solution, I would to chart a course for a way out of this, I am proposing, in line with people like Professor Olusegun Oladipo of blessed memory, who talked about social engineering, which he mentioned as institutional development. Let these institutions be overhauled. Let them be reframed to serve the common good. Let me give a good example. I know most of our past leaders have their lapses, but there was something President Olusegun Obasanjo did, privatization. It was going to empower Nigerians forever. But because of selfish interests, many people didn't let it see the light of the day. Let me expand on privatization. There is a sector in Nigerian social life that is being ignored, which is industrialization. You open skill acquisition center in villages, in local government center, teaching people how to sew with thread and needle. If everybody in the society becomes tailor, who go sew which person clothes? How many tailors can pay school fees for their children? These are colonial crafts. These are olden days crafts. There are modern skills that are not even as difficult as how many tailors do we need in society? If Nigerian government says that tailoring wants to put money on, then Nigerian government is backward because we can produce these clothes industrially. These clothes can be produced in an industry where there is specialization of workers. Machines do this, you operate the machines. That's what we see here in America. So we don't need any skill acquisition. What we need is industrialization and create employment. There is what is called on-the-job training. If everything is mechanized, you go to the job, they teach you how to operate. Okay, let me give a very laudable example that will make you laugh a little bit. During Jonathan's regime, these militants that submitted their weapons, they were sent abroad for skill acquisition. How many of them have come back to inject empowerment in the Nigerian economy till date? What are the skills that they learned? Are they relevant to the situation? So why I told us at the beginning that we need to conceptualize, when you talk about empowerment, empowerment is not just making a young person to take charge of his life, but you must consider three concepts. Encouraging a young person to take charge of his life, considering his situation, number one, his resources, number two, and his culture, number three. So when you want to empower the Nigerian youth, look at the situation surrounding them. What is required is creation of jobs, industrialization. If we have 10 Dangotes in Nigeria, I know that this argument can be criticized because of capitalism, because they are unconsciously making money out of the masses. I agree with that. But if we have 10 Dangotes investors like that in Nigeria today, there will be more jobs. Even the concept of education today is paper certification we are doing in Nigeria. Educate the person's intellect. Let the person be strong in and out to take decision for himself. So my suggestion goes to institutional development. All our institutions are weak. Take, for instance, a policeman sees me and you having a problem. He first of all look at you. What's your father's name? My father's name is Dangote. Oh, why are you looking for his trouble? The moment you are from the poor class, you become the guilty one. All the institutions are wrong. So we need to rework the institution. But when it comes to, particularly with youth empowerment, it has to do with creation of jobs. That is where I would drop it for now.
Thank you, Dr. Okabwe. Mr. Akinloton, Dr. Okabwe talked about investment. But if you watch the video that we watched in the beginning of the program, you will see a system that is chaotic, a system that is not safe. How do people in their right senses go to that kind of a system and invest? And so my question will be to you. What do you say to our youths? Because they're in the midst of all this kidnapping and egbe wagers, armed robbery, gang, agbero, sheep, and all these things. So I will ask you this: what do we say to our youths? How do we encourage them in the midst of this hopelessness to at least shield the sword so that we can have investors come into Nigeria?
Well, thank you, moderator. Well, Nigerian youths, I want to quote the president saying sometimes back that a typical Nigerian youth is lazy, or generally speaking, that Nigerian youths are lazy. But I want to see that, I want to say here that Nigerian youths are not lazy. When I got to America here, I found out that American youths are lazier. Yeah, because probably their forefathers and some people have promised them that, well, that this land is a land of free. And, you know, that everything they want will come and meet them at home. But this is a different scenario way back where we come from. Yeah. Be it as it may, Nigerian youths may have flair or disposition for something else. Let's take a look at sports and entertainment world. The energy that our youths channel towards these two sectors are of great immense. What I believe that we need to do is a socio-cultural orientation. We used to have a ministry before, Ministry of Orientation. I don't know if that still exists. And I think one way or the other, the ministry lost its grip. Probably don't even know what they're supposed to do. You know, we need our youth to channel their energy to productivity, to work. These days, we found out that most of our graduates, just because they can't find employment that are suitable for them, most of them end up driving Okadas. Most of them engage in thuggery. They let them being used by the politicians and turning them into bandits and terrorists. So I believe that if we can have a social cultural reorientation and, and orient our youths and make them see that this energy that we're channeling wrongly into this aspect, we can bring it down. We can bring it into production. Like my other panelists have said before now, that is industrialization. Like farming, we always come to the board and talk about farming. We talk about agriculture. If you look at the way, the rate that the Nigerian population is growing geometrically, you see that the food production is not going in the same percentage. I would say our food production is going arithmetically, where we have just 3 states that can feed West Africa: Zamfara, Kebbi, and Sokoto states. If the agriculture that we talk about is being fully harnessed, these 3 states can feed the whole of West Africa. We still need the government to come out and support our youth and make them see that farming is another way to go about, rather than engaging in other social vices, pushing insecurity in the country. So I would say that the social cultural reorientation and the government, private-public partnership, palliatives. I mean, you can't just say, I mean, this current government came out during the pandemic and came out and say, okay, they want to give palliatives to the less privileged, the poor people, and they were doling out 5,000 naira. Can 5,000 naira be a capital to start a business, to start a trade, to start production? No. I mean, it all boils down from the top. We have, like we said before, that we have a faulty foundation. It boils down from the government down to the citizens. And we as youths have a lot of things to do. We have a lot of orientation to do within ourselves. So I'll leave it at this point. Then we'll continue from here.
Yes, and we are inching to the time that we will receive questions and contribution from other parts of the membership of this gathering. And so in the light of this, I want to ask you, Dr. Nana, Dr. Okabwe and Mr. Akinlonto just espoused, they explained how they brought some perspective from the youth side. What advice, I mean, how do you advise the leadership? Dr. Okabwe mentioned, Mr. Akinlonto mentioned channeling youth's energy towards positivity, to things like sports and agriculture and other things. Well, growing up, that most of my audience today may not know, I grew up Benin, and Ibadan, Lagos. And in those days, we had Liberty Stadium, we had Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City, where kids that we were then would go to acquire skills and expend energy. And some of them became sportsmen, and Nigeria was successful. How do you advise the leadership to handle empowerment of youth in this regard, Dr. Nani?
Thank you very much. Solomon, I'm speaking. So thank you so much, Dr. Okafe and Mr. Akiloton and every of our viewers here. I just want to assure you all that we are not in this platform to just talk. We are here to discuss the issues in Nigeria and also suggest solutions to those issues. And I can assure you that if we start adopting the solutions that we are going to be proofing here in this platform going forward, things are going to change. Things are going to change. That I can assure you. The bat of this program is standing by your dream. If you are committed to your life dreams, you can be sure that your mind will change, which is you have to change your mind. The TV station is actually named NMTV, Nigerian Mindset TV. So it's something that I really am passionate about because I know that if we do not love our country, Nigeria, we will not all be here. We are here today to talk about the issues in Nigeria, and we're also here to suggest solutions to those issues. I am also very committed to the youths because in any nation, youths are the future of that nation. To start with, insecurity is the opposite of what? Security. Insecurity is the opposite of security. There is no way on earth that you will have insecurity and have empowerment at the same time. It will not work. Security first, before any type of empowerment can even stand. And one of the fundamental attributes of a functioning government in a nation is to ensure the security of life and properties of its own citizens. Now, what is happening in Nigeria right now regarding insecurity is not what is new, because I know growing up, there used to be armed robbery here and there, but the situation actually has gotten worse over the years. As we sit here, whether you are one of the guests or among everyone that is here, we can all differentiate what is wrong from what is right. So no matter the part of the world anyone is living, government are primary tasks to provide security for its citizens. In my view, the Nigerian government has consistently failed to accomplish those tasks. And this is where the youths now come in. The leaders of Nigeria are so used to what is called the high class and even no class. Right now, there's no class or you are a high class person. So going back to the videos that we watched at the inception of this program, just imagine the chaos. Look at the chaos in Nigeria. What kind of a nation is that? How can we sustain that? The cows will be running across wherever and pushing people out of the wherever. Who does that? What type of a nation? The Minister of Defense. A Minister of Defense will carry an AK what? 47. What is that? In an armored car with security details.
So what's the hope of the...
What is the hope?
For ordinary people.
For the ordinary people. What does that even mean? That a Minister of Defense will carry an AK-47 entering an armored car with security details. So this is where the Nigerian youths need to come in. We need that hope to be restored in Nigeria. And no one can do it but you, the youth. Because in my view, the fact is nobody wins in a power tussle country. Right now, Nigeria is like a power tussle country where people are showing power between rich and the poor. The security in the nation right now is almost like a paralyzed state. There is no youth empowerment where there's no security. So to get security is to get youth empowerment, and every other thing will fall in line.
Thank you, Dr. Nana, for that insightful comment. Dr. Kavwe, I will say this to prompt you into discussing this topic. Chief Obafemi Awolowo and Bola Ige, those were my, actually because of their program, I had the level of education that I'm exposed to. And so my philosophy of life is predicated on their views. So let me tell you one of his famous quotes. The children of the poor that you refuse to train and educate today will come after your children. Dr. Kavwe, given the video that we have just watched, given the security situation, professionals leaving the country en masse, people coming to buy all good heads away from Nigeria into other foreign countries. So I ask you, what do you tell this leadership? And I will predicate it on this. Since I was young, it has always been Obasanjo is not good, Buhari is not good, that Babangida is not good. I always posit that the problem is followership, and you alluded to that, Mr. Akinloton. But my question to you is that, how do we advise the current leadership to take the system seriously, invest into the future of the country so that their children after them can live in a safe environment? Because they can buy security today. What happens to their children tomorrow when they are no longer there or in power? Please say something about this.
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator. When you said other countries are coming to buy the brains from Nigeria, I'm one of such people that Nigeria lost. So I'll say it anytime, anywhere, because I got my doctorate in Nigeria at the age of 31 and made effort to contribute to the educational system for about 13 years. But it was like there was no hope. So I need to go to where I will be relevant. That's why I came to America. Now, responding to the issue of Awolowo's quote, I already mentioned that already when I mentioned Franz Fanon theory of development, but I didn't expand on it. What Franz Fanon said is this. He said the petit bourgeoisie, which were those Africans that schooled in the Western system and came as nationalists and took over the reins of power. They were driving the kind of cars the colonial masters were driving, living in affluence, segregated themselves, living in quarters, senators' quarter, away from the masses, leaving the poor people to suffer. Just as the Bible said, the rich will get richer and the poor will get poorer. Franz Fanon said, what is now the hope of the poor? The children of the poor sit in the streets, in the suburb every morning smoking ganja. And he said, and I quote, this same ganja that these people are smoking is going to give them inspiration one day. And they will take upon weapons and ammunition and chase you out of power. This is exactly what was about to happen when the youth revolted in Nigeria recently. That was just testing the waters. More is going to come because if you suppress somebody too much, push the person to the wall, the person is going to speak up for himself. So I want to agree with Mr. Shegun, who said that Nigerian youth are not lazy. Nigerian youth are not lazy. Nigerian youth are just unfortunate victims. Because those who are killing the country today, they use the youth. It is brainwashing. It is a long history of brainwashing. So it's very difficult to be liberated from the brainwash. If not, why will I carry a gun and kill 20 people just because you will give me one bag of rice? Or just because you will give me 5,000 naira? You know, me and that 20 people who can join together and come and beat you up and collect all the money you have stolen from us. So there's going to be a reawakening. So I agree that this oppression is going to take a reverse. The oppressed is going to become an oppressor anytime soon. I agree to that Awolowo's theory. Now, responding to what Dr. Nana said about insecurity, you know, I understand the point you are making, but I would rather want to go a little bit deeper than the point you are presenting it. Now, let's look at security, or let's look at insecurity. I do not subscribe that peace is the absence of war. I do not subscribe to that surface approach. Rather, I look at peace as harmony. Peace is when everybody is doing, harmony is interacting. That is cooperation. When everybody is doing what it's supposed to do, that is when there is peace. Peace is not absence of war, because the oppressor can make you keep quiet and there is no war, but there is no peace at the same time. So when we talk about matters of insecurity, I want us to look a little bit above it, because if this killing and cow running up and down stops, it doesn't mean that the peace has come. People can aggressively put a halt to this. If you challenge them too much, they will manipulate it and you will not see them again. But the stock is still there. The problem is that the system is not functioning. Some of these youth that are helping as bandits, if the system is working and they are well engaged and employed, they will not have time for that. Let me give you a good example. Take 5 Nigerian youths who grew up together, primary school, secondary school. 2 of them got bank job. All the time they used to go play football in the evening, you won't see those 2 again. All the time they go to club to look for girls and look for alcohol, you won't see those 2 again. They are not committed because the job keeps you have to sit up. So the point is, the Nigerian youth are not engaged positively. They only engage us negatively when they want to exploit us. Hey, where are the boys? Me, I'm from Delta State, I'm from Warri. We know the language. Hey, area, what are they? When I come job day, they pack us for van. We'll go and fight, stab each other. The question is, those who say enter this van, go and stab, where are their children? The irony is that their children will be schooling in Cambridge and Oxford, but the children don't go still get ahead to wear the cap.
That's right.
God has designed it like that. You cannot cheat us both sides. You can't have the best of 2 worlds. You are living comfortably. You want to mortgage our future for your children.
Yeah.
Those children still go to there and come back. How many? Okay, let me be very explosive on this. How many of Obasanjo's children
That's right.
you know that are well employed in Nigeria?
That's right.
How all the state governors that have served and that are still serving in Nigeria, where are can their children compete favorably with we that are children of the average?
No way.
Because they feel that their future is secure with the sweat of everybody. So what I would suggest to add to your campaign for that empowerment will only come if there is security. Now, there cannot be security if there is no harmony, if the system is not functioning. The system needs to be overhauled. It needs to be woken up. Like you said about going around and bandits are going around. If the police law enforcement institution is active, you don't need, America is even a more hostile society. Everybody moves around with gun, but how many people shoot? Because the law is active. You know, nobody monitors you, but you can't even touch somebody's shirt in America to say, hey, come here. They will say you assaulted them. The next thing you'll be arrested. But the law is dead in Nigeria. Religion is dead. Pastors use religion to siphon people. Politicians use politics to siphon people. Everybody is trying to siphon, because that's why I say we have lived in a long era of brainwash. So I want to disagree a little bit too with Mr. Shegun, who talked about reorientation. See, the campaign for reorientation has become a grandmother in Nigeria. We've been talking about reorientation for over 61 years. It's not working because who do you want to reorientate? Who is the person to take charge of the orientation? The policies, this program, you know, you cannot, Jesus said you can't put old wine in new wineskin. You know, the arrangement is erroneous. So we need to tell, we were very close to this solution when Jonah, I'm not supporting any political, I'm apolitical as far as this goes, but Jonathan almost agreed to this restructure, where everybody will sit down under one umbrella and tell each other the truth. This is what we need. Federal police cannot work for security in Nigeria. What we need is state police. Then I will produce oil. You will produce 2 bags of granite, and you get more than what I get. These are the arrangements. If everything is arranged, all the states are busy, let the federal government play a supervisory role. Then states will, okay, let me give you a good example. This local government, in America today, the local government are those collecting tickets. If you don't clear your lawns, if your company is dirty, they make a lot of money. They don't beg money from the state even collects from them. Then the federal collects from the state. So allow the system to function. Don't siphon the structure of government. Allow the system to function, then let us reopen these institutions, let them work. If you are busy, I am busy, we will be secured. All of us will be engaged. Nobody's going about fighting. That is my opinion. I still stand with institutional development, strengthening this institution so that they can yield what we deserve. If you do that, the youth will be empowered. If you put a Nigerian youth today and American youth, the Nigerian youth is fickle-minded, is afraid, will lack confidence. I have a PhD, but if I stand with a child in junior high school in America, he discusses without fear. He looks at me in the eye. Why will you put on this kind of shirt? I don't like it. They tell you because they don't feel insecure. So the insecurity we are talking about now is killing us psychologically. So if we are not careful, we will leave this level of social insecurity and transform to the level of psychological insecurity, which is going to be very problematic. That's my take on that.
Thank you, Dr. Okabwe.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Kwame. Thank you, Shego Akintola, and everyone. I just want to thank you all for being here. I think I agree with everything we've been saying here, both what Mr. Akin Lotto has spoken about, and that Nigerian youths are not lazy. I know that for sure they are not lazy at all. And Dr. Okave, I agree with all your assertions that you made here. I want to come in a little bit further using Paulo Ferry's book, Pedagogy of the Oppressed. The Paulo Ferry's book of the Pedagogy of the Oppressed. Nigeria, the youth actually there are being oppressed. Whether the Pedagogy of the Oppressed book talked about if the oppressors, if they even know that they're actually oppressors, and if the oppressed understand that they are being oppressed. In this situation, I believe that the insecurity in Nigeria is causing the youth to be insecure about everything that is happening around them. And it's hopelessness. The government of Nigeria are not functioning. If there's a functioning government, then there will be security. Since there's no functioning government, even though we have government in place, it's not a functioning government. When we have a functioning government, then there will be security. Dr. Kwame, you talked about the youth here in the US. They are secure because we have a functioning government. So in Nigeria, we do not have a functioning government. Therefore, the insecurity is stated there, and they continue to oppress the youth. And the youths, because they are being insecure, when they call them to come and be omonile or agbero to do babarere babake, like what? if they understand the power they have in their hand, they will refuse to be Omonile, and they will refuse to be Agberos, and there will not be any Babarere Babake. You have spoken very well, Dr. Okavi, because all these so-called leaders that we have in Nigeria, even the Buhari self that we have there now, I don't know of his children that are leading anywhere. They are using actually the sweat of the poor to enrich themselves. So the thing here, the theme that we have in this program is for the youth to rise, to know that they have power in their hand and they have their voices to be heard. If you want a future for yourself as a youth in Nigeria and your children, you must refuse to be an Agbero. You must refuse to be a Manile, and you must refuse to be doing Babarere Babake for all these people. So this is where the solution will come. The youth of Nigeria is where the hope lies. I do not want any chaos or any destruction of anything. The power is in your hand. When election comes, you need to come out and vote the right people. These people that are destroying the system from inception, they cannot do it alone. They need you as the youth to do it for them. But you will need to stand up and refuse to be part of those people who will stand because of 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira or even 1 million naira to kill people. We cannot do that anymore. Therefore, civic duty is very, very critical for the Nigerian youth to understand what civic duties can do. That is where empowerment comes in. That is where security will now stabilize. So I thank you all, and I rest my...
Thank you, Dr. Nana. Mr. Akiloton, I will ask you this, but I want to tell our audience that it's time for questioning, but you will keep this thought. We had this discussion. I've written a lot of articles on this. Followership versus leadership in Nigeria. Who is to blame for this situation that Nigeria is in? Since I was born, and now I am fairly old, I've always heard that our leaders are not good. Nnamdi Azikiwe was not good. Shagari was not good. Babangida was not good. Obasanjo was not good. The man in the glass, the military man, was not good. Everybody that is in leadership so far in Nigeria has not been found to be good. Now, my take is that the leadership is a product of followership. How come all the leadership in Nigeria this far has never been good? Is it the fault of followership? Mr. Akiloto, keep this thought. You will explore more on this, you detail us more on this, but I want to call for the first question from the audience who are participating with us. Do I have my brother and friend Misan here?
Absolutely, sir. I'm here. If you can hear me.
Please go ahead, make your contribution and ask your question.
All right, thank you. Good evening to everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Nana, Dr. Chris. This is a very good initiative. I must commend the effort, and I'm honored and privileged to actually experience this today. So far, it's been a learning moment for me. First off, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Misan Ajagbawa. I reside in Providence, Rhode Island, to be precise. Fortunately for myself, I actually went to school up till undergraduate level in Nigeria before I left back in 2012. And it is a shame to actually say that my 24 years in Nigeria is nothing compared to the 9.5 years that I've actually spent in the US. And also I want to thank Dr. Okavwe and Mr. Shegun Akinloton for their contributions. And so my question goes thus: it actually it's regards the insecurity and empowerment. put together. So one thing I actually I realized is that back when I was way younger, I know and I hear of a lot of people going outside of Nigeria for greener pastures. And then one thing I realized then was that there was something like a time limit put on that, whereby they go work for a certain amount of time, they come back, invest in Nigeria, and then some they retire and then continue with their investment. But unfortunately today, I cannot say the same for the youths of Nigeria, because it's been a situation whereby when you come over here to like America and other places, you put money together, you have a dream, you have a goal, you have a time limit or what have you. You put your money together, you send it back home, you try to invest with the mind of retiring actually to go fall back onto something. But the way the Naira and the dollar works right now, I mean, it will surprise you that after working for about 15 years in America and then you decide to go back home, the dollar value as at then might even be worse than what it is right now, which means you would be at great loss. That is one. Second off, maybe people back home who are probably in charge, you are actually trying to empower them, which is one of the reasons why you decide to even invest back home to begin with. You put them in charge of these things and they squander your money, or they just, the business doesn't work out how you want, because everybody's looking to enrich their personal pockets and that's of their family. And somebody like me, I've experienced something like this before, twice actually, whereby I decide that this is what I want to do back home. I put money together, I started, and then some other people come into that business and then cause havoc. And it has discouraged me. And like I said, with most of the youths today, whereby we've decided to put our money together and still invest where we are without even thinking of Nigeria, which is really sad, because if you look at it that way, which means there's almost no future for Nigeria if the future leaders of Nigeria don't even believe in the country itself. So what is the future of Nigeria? It's just Nigeria is gradually becoming a place of lawlessness, where people can just go and do whatever they want. And if we look at also, if we look at our youths back home, they try their best, put a little money together, and then try to invest into something. And you see a banking system, financial institutions, whereby, say, for instance, in America, somebody steals your card, or somehow they clone your card. They go into your account, they take out all your money. You have insurance on this, with this financial institutions, whereby you file claims, and you get this money back. Unlike Nigeria, you probably some people have their cards with them. It's not even stolen. Something that is not their fault. People clone their cards and such. They'll be in their house in their comfort zones. They receive debit alerts from this type of people, and there's nothing the banking system is actually doing to compensate these people. They just tell them, "Oh, we don't know what to do. We don't know how that happened." There's no security. So it's not. I'm saying all of this to say it's not. Just like Dr. Kwabis said, you said something about empowerment is way beyond giving money to people, and that I agree. Because if you give money to people and they don't even know what to use that money on, they will end up spending that money and be left with nothing. One. And two, you said it's also beyond skill acquisitions. If everybody becomes a farmer and then there's no farmland actually to farm on, then the skills is of no use itself. So my question goes thus. So beyond, when we talk about insecurity, beyond police reform, and also when we talk about empowerment, beyond giving money and skill acquisition, my question is directly to Dr. Ukabwe. What do you think? What step do you think? One and two questions. What step do you think the people of Nigeria, the youth, to take. Because if you, I don't know if you understood what I said in all. What I'm trying to get at is, so now we have people who are willing to invest, but just because there's no system, there's no guarantee that your investment would yield profits, they've decided not to invest in Nigeria any longer. So what are the measures to take to help these people understand that, yes, they can go back to Nigeria and invest, their money is secured? And also beyond, like I said, beyond police reform, when we talk of, when we're speaking on insecurity, beyond police reform, what else do we really need to help better this matter? Thank you so much.
While Dr. Kabwe will keep that thought, I want to say I will call on two more people after Dr. Kabwe gives his answer to this question. It will be Francis David, but before Francis David, Joe Aji, you will ask your question after Dr. Kabwe gives answer to Misan. Dr. Kabwe, over to you.
Thank you, sir. I will go straight to the answer so that people can have time to make more contribution. Now, the solution for investment in Nigeria is, first, provide the social amenities. The social amenities is where all of us meet, is the public, the roads, the lights. These are things where we converge. If they are absent, you cannot even think of what to invest on. If you have a business in Nigeria, you are buying fuel for generator 24 hours, you will be losing. But if the light is stable and the roads are good, then transportation is reliable, the trains are working, people will now begin to innovate. You think around what is available. As it is now, if you give 200 Nigerian youths 20 million naira each to invest, the lack of social amenities is going to suck their resources off. So my solution to investment and to empowerment in Nigeria is, I know that the problem is massive, but in my own life, my peculiar situation, I try to solve my problems by breaking them down and looking at the one that needs the other. Every step, one will surely need the other, just like a ladder. So the first thing I will propose is take charge of the social amenities and guarantee them. Guarantee that the roads are good. Guarantee that there is light. Guarantee that there is water, healthy water. Once you have all these, businesses will spring up. Then from there, people never chop belleful, no go obey law. It no go work anywhere. Exactly. When the people are a little bit comfortable, the law will begin to gain respect and people will begin to do what they need to do. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kabwe. Mr. Aji, Joe Aji.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be on this program. My name is Joseph Ajiboye. I'm joining the program from the state of Indiana. Quickly, Dr. Kawe, I listened to you and how you try to exonerate the colonial powers. I'll make a reference to Walter Rodney's book titled How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. It's a very powerful book. It touches on the various decisions, policies that Europe put in place, to subdue or hinder Africa's development. And let me say that Walter Rodney is not even an African. He is of Guyanese descent, and he did a lot of extensive work on, colonialism and the African continent. So I would say that we cannot totally exonerate Europe, in the problems we're facing in Africa, because the mercenaries that the colonial masters put in place while they were living were such that they had what you call internal collaborators, internal prime movers. These are people who are loyal, who were put in charge of the affairs of Nigeria and other African countries. The so-called elites, the so-called nationalists who fought for independence, So, and these people signed a lot of documents, had a lot of agreements with these colonial powers, Britain, France, Belgium and the likes, whereby they control how our economy is structured, the things we produce, the rate at which these things are produced, and all these things kind of put us at a disadvantage. And we have experienced instances where different African leaders, visionaries, you have the likes of Thomas Sankara, and so many others who tried, to do what they thought was best for their citizens. But the end was assassination sponsored by Britain, France, Belgium, and other colonial masters. So how then do we say that the colonial masters are not to blame for the problem that we are encountering in Africa till today? I want us to take note of that. And in recent times, the various government of France, the various French leaders, and British politicians have come out to say that, they are responsible for the woes in which we find ourselves as Africans. Then I'll go to the problem of security, insecurity, in Nigeria. And I would like to make reference to what Dr. Nana, mentioned, that there cannot be development without security. If you look at the structure of Nigerian society, the Nigerian government, what we have in place is what you call a quasi-democracy, whereby we want people to believe that we are a democracy, when in actual fact, we are not practicing democracy, and we always want to be proud to say that we are a federal state. But we all know, if you agree with me, that we are not practicing true federalism, when it comes to how resource control, another aspect of the society. And taking a look at the deplorable state, the mindset of our politicians and leaders in Nigeria, things are not going well, which is the fact that we cannot deny. There's a lot of secessionist movements springing up, in different regions of the country. And then I ask myself this question: if we say we want to succeed as a region within Nigeria, we have the same politicians with the same mindset who are still going to be in charge of these countries. Biafra, Oduduwa, whatever name they choose to call it. I would then say that the problem of Nigeria is not leadership. The problem of Nigeria is followership. The family is the bedrock of the society. It is where we are all raised to either be good citizens or otherwise. So you realize that the current day Nigerian society, Nigerian family structure is dysfunctional because of the changing requirements of the society. The dynamics are changing. Back in the days, you used to have probably a working father and a full housewife, or a working father and a mother who works part-time, creating time to take care of the kids. But the economic requirements where, inflation and other factors have changed the dynamics, whereby both parents have to hustle to provide for their children. Now, the children are being neglected, and the job of the family is now being done by the educational institution. And when we take a good look at our educational institutions, we'll see that the decadence which emanates from the family structure has already eaten deep into our educational institutions. And I'll make reference to what Dr. Chris, the example is cited about the female, the young lady in Nigeria who said, ABU was a bad school because they could not block or pay for courses. I happen to attend, the University of Ibadan. And, it never occurred to me that people could actually bribe, to pass. You either get what you put down or you carry over the course. And at some point, you get expelled for poor academic performance. So I'll say that, the situation of Nigeria is so complicated. And and the citizens are not aware that we ourselves need to wake up from what we call a class in ourselves to becoming a class for ourselves. When we become a class for ourselves, that is when we are able to really understand the problems we as a people are facing. That is the only time we are able to aggregate our individual interests. And I feel like, state police is not the way out of security, because the same corrupt politicians are going to manipulate these various state police to do their bidding. So institutionalism seems to be the way out of the problems of Nigeria. But then the question is, how do we strengthen these institutions? What machineries do we put in place? Who enforces the various recognitions? Because in Nigeria, it's such that we understand that we need strong institutions. But what model are we going to follow? And academics come on TV and they talk about different theories, and I feel like we need to search within our own cultural identities to know the models, the patterns that suit us. We cannot develop as a nation if we want to follow the Western model. We have to identify who and what we are as Africans in order to be able to identify what pattern, what mechanisms, what model that we can adopt as a nation to counter insecurity and, attain development. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aji, Joe Aji. I have to say this. You have been so detailed, and that was insightful. Mr. Akiloton, I asked you a question before, and Mr. Aji just expounded on that. Do you agree with Mr. Aji that followership is the problem, or vice versa? Where do you stand?
Well, thank you, Dr. Chris. I want to tilt to what Mr. Ajiboye has. He actually took the words out of my mouth. So for the past 62 years that Nigeria has been in existence, our core problem, our major problem is the followership. Followership has been the bane of our problem. Now, let me skew a little bit from that. Our leaders, we all know that our leaders are selfish, they are corrupt, and like Dr. Henry talked about the bourgeoisies and the proletariat, the haves and the haves not. Now there's a wide margin between these two. Now, who said our leaders, because they have used their position to amass our commonwealth. So they use this wealth to oppress and suppress the followers by using few coins as bait to hunt us. And no thanks to the level of poverty and illiteracy in the land, we are all moved by what we want to eat at the moment. So if you go to the north, to the core north of the country, all we hear is rankadede, rankadede, rankadede. They have so much idolized the leaders. So when the leaders come and tell them this is the way it is, we have no choice. We'll follow them. We say, okay, we are not going to this direction. We have no choice. We'll follow them. Why? Because they back it up with something that can only help us for the moment. As followers, we are not thinking that it is high time for us to call these people, to question these people, to pose some challenges to them and ask them and hold them to their words. After 4 years, they come back and tell us another story. We will still go and fight for them and vote for them. It has been like a vicious cycle that, okay, this same set of leaders will go and put their words back there and start leading us. Now, another aspect of this situation is that now followers in the long run also become the leaders. Now, we have a bad system. Today, we are complaining as followers that the leaders are bad, corrupt, and all that. Then when we have the opportunity to get there too, we find ourselves in the same situation. We can't correct it. The same situation we have been talking about, that this is a bad governance. This is the way these people are leading us. They're leading us bad. Now we have the chance to get there and we'll do the same. So we look at it holistically, that if we don't start asking questions, have a change of attitude, the ball still stops at the followers' desk. Now, as followers, we need to come together and get involved in administration. While we complain, we must agree that we will not follow anyone blindly again. Other than that, we'll still come back to the basics. And this that we have seen for the past 62 years will still take us to another 100 years. We won't get nowhere. So like Mr. Joy has asserted, this problem of leadership and followership still talks as the leadership, as the followership. We as followers need to take the mantle and ask questions and have a seasonal change. This is my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Akiloto. Thank you for that insightful comment. David, Francis, David, while you speak, I want you to look at it from this angle. Do you believe, like the last two speakers have spoken, that if we remove Padi in the sense that when you are in position of authority, I tend to be activist, and I can read many examples from the people who lead Nigeria today. So I've become very activist. There's one that is a minister now in Nigeria. Activists until they are appointed into position, and then everything goes same way. So do you believe that if people will begin to look more into qualifications and experiences like they do in America, and put people in place for what they can do for the nation, do you think there will be a turnaround? If we reduce Padi, now my family, now my tribe, now my people, now my brother, now my sister, if we remove this, do you think that the system will get a boost and probably go positive? Mr. Francis David.
Yes, I appreciate. I'm sorry. This name it's supposed to be David Francis. I think I used my colleague's login, so that's David instead of Ugbe. So that said, what you've noticed at this instant is what is called meritocracy.
Sorry, is this Mr. Ugbe speaking? Richard?
This is David. David.
Oh, okay. All right. David. Okay. Go ahead.
So what you just, the problem now, the name I would love to give this thing you just said now is, of course, we know it's meritocracy as against tribalism, as against ethnicism, as against every other crazy that doesn't come from merits. In the American system, as well as in every other Western developed community, you would always have people who who show you the process of success. In the Nigerian community, we used to have meritocracy back in the day, where you have teachers who can actually end up in federal government ministries. Our great grandfathers, our fathers, we all had those stories of people who didn't get to a doctorate, or they didn't have their PhD, but you see them having incredible strides in the public service. Nigeria was at that point in time. So yes, I believe that we need to begin to consider meritocracy as against I know somebody. And I years back, I worked with someone like that. My employer, he was in Germany at the time. And I suggested to him, I told him, look, we need to work on this project based on people who actually know what they are bringing to the table. But somehow he felt that he needed someone close to him. In other words, he needed someone he can trust with his money, as against someone that is going to bring knowledge and expertise and experience into the onto the table. Now, the problem of the Nigerian society, like previous speakers have said, it's not just about leadership and followership. We need to look at the security challenges in a sort of social scientific atmosphere, because it lies between a kind moral values and virtue ethics in social science. If you go to the Western society, you definitely have a database of people who are criminals, people who have been corrupt for years. I mean, why did the former presidential candidate, why did Atiku, sorry for those of you that are his fans, why did why did he have to spend so much money to go back to the US, just to confirm to a lot of Nigerians that, yeah, he is eligible and that he doesn't have issues? It's because the United States government have a database of people like him. And for the majority of persons who are in the US, there is a database for such conducts, whether you're doing good, whether you have your credit card history. So there is need to look at what people can bring to the table. And that's why I asked the question rather in the group, in the chat, and it was all about finding out really what are the structures, the ingredients of people or of communities in the country that can say, come, we need to begin to learn how to be patriotic. The very first structure this country put in place to ensure that people learn patriotism was the National Youth Service Corps. That was the very first initiative where people go travel to all kinds of places in the country. But I tell you now, if you ask a typical Nigerian on the street, if he or she is patriotic about this country, the first thing they will tell you is, I better leave this country. I want Yakba. So there is a foundational problem. And for people who are not patriotic, for their country or to their country, insecurity will not just rise, the education sector would be a complete mess, and meritocracy would be really rubbished. So let's look at these foundational problems. One is to look at the need for overlapping loyalties. Overlapping loyalties, the Hausa person, the Igbo person should be loyal to an entity. Two, the need for a feeling of devotion, whether a sense of attachment to the country, to the values of the country. Does Nigeria have values? Students in primary, secondary school, apart from the national anthem where we put the hands on the chest and recite it, do students in those schools have values beyond just standing and putting attention, standing at attention? So we need to look at that feeling of devotion. Is that feeling of devotion that made some youths in Ghana last month they beat up one politician, sent the bags of rice he brought to that community, returned it, and told the man that, look, Oga, we don't need this rice. Give us jobs, give us this, give us that. And for young people in such communities to do that to that man, it means they had that feeling of devotion, that sense of attachment to their community. They needed something to change. And then the last point I want to bring up is, apart from looking at the overlapping loyalties, which is working in most developed countries, the intricate lattice work of ideals, which we have noticed in the United States, whether you are a Democratic Party person or a Republican, the American flag, when once it is raised in any part of the world, there is that sense of, I am an American. So even the British, coming to colonize any part of the world, they will tell you straightforward. They tell you, look, if you don't speak our language, you are not going to do this. The whole IELTS or TOEFL or whatever, these are all new ways of ensuring that there is this overlapping loyalty of many nations to these countries. So as a country, as Nigerians, we need to begin to look at what overlapping loyalty can we push out. Apart from the NYSC scheme, can we push out these things out? Then the second one is not just to have a blind patriotism where people have maggots in their head and everybody wants to just, leave the country as it is because it is unredeemable or irredeemable. But we need to look at that constructive patriotism that is embedded into the education sector so that people can stand in their community and reject whatever favoritism comes in. In the secondary schools, in primary schools, in the universities, students should be taught. For those of you who are academics, begin to teach students beyond the purview of the classroom how to have that sense of attachment, that sense of devotion, to own their knowledge, to own their experience, and to own their community. And then the last one I said is the sense of meritocracy. We need to look at and reevaluate moral values and our virtue ethics. And social scientists in Nigeria, I sometimes you wonder what the majority of them are doing. But if you want to look at the practical aspect of it, it is important to really study what a typical Nigerian can do in places, how excelling Nigerians are outside. It's because we lack that sense of meritocracy. We don't have a foundational and constructive patriotism right from to our foundations. It's not even between leadership and followership problem. It's a problem of education right to the roots. That is addressed. You have better leaders who actually call people to be who enthrone meritocracy in such communities. Thank you.
Thank you, David. David, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the contribution. We will have Mr. Chi Dozier from Rhode Island speak. And then if Richard Ugbe is here, we'll have a brief talk. Then we will have the final thoughts from our guests, so we can go back to do our daily business at 5:30. So, Mr. Chidozie from Rhode Island, over to you.
Hi, Dr. Chris, how you doing? Hello, Dr. Chris?
We can hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. So, I've been here for a while and I've listened to what everyone said. And honestly, like, those are very strong contributions I've seen here. I just have like my own opinion on certain things. I'm not a big fan of blaming the government for everything. I have my reasons why, because like the last guy said, David, education really matters, yes. But our education system too, like Dr. Henry was saying initially, is embedded on just graduate and go find a job. I mean, I've been to school in Europe, in Africa, and in this country. And I've realized like most of my classmates went into private sectors. They went into doing their own stuff. You see people leaving school, they're like, I'm going to go start my own practice somewhere, But when I went to school in Nigeria, every of my classmates was talking about the connections they had. My dad's uncle worked in NNPC, and that's where I want to get to. So our education system is embedded on raising students to graduate and go find a job. How many startups do we have in Nigeria that are like fresh graduates? It's almost non-existent. That is one. Why I said I don't really blame the federal government is the government comes in, yes, but where do they come in? Providing infrastructure, electricity, and good roads. But I'm more a proponent of privatization. There's a reason why I'm saying this. I grew up in a city where we had the state hotel, Abia Hotels in Aba. That hotel was redundant for almost 10, 15 years. It was sold to someone like I know personally. When it was sold to him, because he owned it privately, he invested money and he can go in there and actually buy a cold cook. Because any day he doesn't make sales, he's losing money. When Obasanjo was leaving government, if anyone remembered, he went into a privatization program where he even sold the NNPC, and then he was about to sell like both the Nigerian Airways and all those stuff. There's a reason why privatization is also a very good thing. Like I think like electricity in Nigeria, we can privatize it. Everyone should come in and generate electricity and people will buy from them. That might be a good solution. Like for 60 years, we have been blaming the government. Why don't we just try the private sector? Like everyone come in and, like this is how you build strong institutions. Nigeria don't need like a very good government. We need strong institutions. And over the couple of years, certain things have really worked out. I mean, NAFDAC came in. Like I said, I also grew up in a neighborhood where people did pure water in their backyards and produced wines from whatever they did. With the invent of NAFDAC, those things are literally like non-existent now, even though they still exist. Charles Soludo, and this guy came. They came into the banking sector. Look at the banking sector today. At least we have very strong banking institutions in Nigeria too. I feel like we need stronger institutions like the police, the power holding company, and the rest of them to make a better future for our youths. And blaming and holding on to the government. One of the speakers, one of the moderators said something about 3 states feeding the whole of West Africa. Are we going to go into mechanized farming? I know the federal government have provided funds to buy those things. Someone embezzled those funds. These are things, if it's a private sector that goes into those farming and the rest of them, you're not going to embezzle your own funds. Like, I remember Sokoto State when I was doing my youth service, Magataka, that was the governor. I remember this guy putting over $500 million, 500 million naira, I think, at the point, into buying some tractors and stuff. No one bought it. Someone pocketed that money and ate. So I'm more like, I don't really blame the government always, because some of these guys are some individuals out there that take this contract and then they spend these funds and then we still like go back to the government. But if we have stronger institutions that can hold these individuals accountable, Nigeria will be a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Chidozie. Thank you so much. Mr. Ugbe, if you are there, let's have a brief talk from you, then we'll have the closing statements from our guests. Mr. Ugbe Richards.
Yeah, so sorry, Ugbe was me and I was Ugbe, so I just changed my name to David.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Mr. Ugbe, any other participants? I see my deacon, thank you for coming in. I see John Aboigbe. I see Mr. Agbabiaka and every other person. Is there anyone who wants to speak before our guests will round up with their closing thoughts? All right. So my Honorable Mr. Akinloton, let's have your closing thoughts.
Yeah, well, thank you, moderators. It has been a very entertaining session. It's been a learning curve, and I must but confess that all our contributions today has a positive effect on our sense of reasoning. Well, in line with all our observations, I think we'll still have to go back to one recommendation is that youth entrepreneurship programs should be made compulsory right from the elementary school to secondary school, then to our higher institutions. I remember back in university, we had a course, project analysis 1 and 2. And in that course, we will pick a trade. And no, a trade will be given to us because we have to pick a trade. You pick a friendly, So it was given to us. Now you have to go and do a feasibility studies on this trade and how you're going to go about it, source for your capital and sell it. And, you just, that way. So all of us have did very well in that analysis. So stuff like that needs to be communicated in our curriculums. I mean, right from the start, and encourage us to be job creators and not job seekers. Like when we all finish NYSC, all of us just go and delve into labor markets. We don't have that that capacity to create our own. And we also know that before we can do that, we will need a base, a capital base. So the government too also have to come into a purview as regards this by creating soft loans for young entrepreneurs so that they can create jobs and can even employ people to work for them. Also, I will look into, like I said before now, that in sports, entertainment, we all know how football, other sports are gold mines now, and we also see in our entertainment world now. So these are the things that we need to inculcate in our youth and encourage our youth to go into, so that it can help us to not to look into social vices like banditry and terrorism. Will rest my case for now until another time, another session. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Akiloton. I'll be doing a great disservice if I don't touch on a very important topic which concerns the youth of Nigeria. But before then, I want to thank my deacon, Chief Akin Akonji, for gracing this occasion. I see you, sir. Thank you for joining us. I also want to thank Mr. Tim Olubode, my Egbon. Thank you for gracing us. And Rewanu, I see you. I see all of you, my alumni members who joined us to be here today. Thank you for joining us. I want to bring up a very important issue that concerns youth. We have had the menace that cultism is reigning on the system of Nigeria. And so, as a closing topic, I would like you, Dr. Ukavwe, to briefly tell us, you have lived the system of the first world, and you also have an experience teaching in the academic sector in Nigeria concerning fraternities and cultism, which will be our next topic probably on this set. Dr. Ukavwe, can you give us your view? What is the difference between cultism and fraternities as you know it? Dr. Ukavwe? Is Dr. Ukavwe here? All right. So the menace of cultism is bedeviling our nation. And we would like to hear from youths the reason why it has become a predominant problem in our system. And so Mr. Akinloton, do you have a closing part to this so we can live with that? It looks like our guest already left. Mr. G, can you give us the differentiation between cultism and fraternities, as you know it? I know you are in the military, in the army of the US, and you have seen, you know, a little bit. With people from fraternities lead the country of America. We have the current vice president. She belongs to the female fraternity. The old presidents, Mr. Bush and the rest, we have read about them being in fraternities. Is it the same fraternity that we have that these young people in Nigeria are practicing, or there's a difference? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Thank you very much, Dr. You see, the problem of cultism in Nigeria is in no way related, you know, to what a fraternity is. You know, a fraternity, you know, consists of people with the same mindset, ideology, goals, objective, who, you know, come together, who function together. You can refer to the banking industry as a banking fraternity. You know, we can say that, you know, the banking industry is a fraternity, the agricultural industry as fraternities, because the various actors in this fraternities are bounded by common goals, objective, and interest. You know, but the word cultism is a media word that was, you know, that was coined in the early 80s, when the politicians started manipulating, you know, the various campus fraternities to do their bidding. You know, just like the Nigerian society has deteriorated, you know, other aspects of society, the youths and everything just seems to be going wrong. You know, the aims of the founding fathers of these fraternities is different. Like, you know, you have the Freemason in America, you know, you have the Kappa Tau Nu, and, you know, other kind of confraternities that are named after the Greek alphabet. These are people who just, I mean, some of these groups in America, you know, are comprised of minorities who happen to find themselves within the academic environment, and they have the same, you know, they experience the same bias against them, and these are people who are well grounded in their academics. I will feel that, you know, the sky